With AI getting smarter every single second, the big question isn't if your job is going to change, it's how you're going to stay essential. So, how do you not just survive, but actually come out on top? Well, we're about to break down a survival guide for the AI age.
So, where are we getting our blueprint for this? Well, it's from a modern classic, Cal Newport's Deep Work. We're going to distill its most powerful ideas into a real, actionable guide for what's coming next in the world of work.
Yeah, this isn't some far-off sci-fi question anymore, is it? It's a real concern for, well, millions of people. And according to some of the smartest people studying our economy, it's a question we absolutely need to be taking seriously right now.
Some brilliant economists over at MIT actually have a name for this massive shift. They call it the Great Restructuring. See, as machines get better and better, that gap between what they can do and what we can do, it just keeps shrinking. And if your job is mostly made up of skills that can be easily copied by software, well, you're in a risky spot.
So you're facing this great restructuring. What do you do? What's the answer? Well, Newport argues it's not about just working longer hours or, grinding harder in the old way. It's about building a very specific skill, a skill he calls the superpower of the 21st century.
Okay, so to actually use this superpower, you've got to understand the battlefield you're on. And in today's workplace, it's a constant tug of war for your attention between two totally different kinds of work. All right, first up is deep work. Just picture a programmer totally lost in a complex problem, or a writer crafting that breakthrough chapter. It's that state of pure, intense, distraction-free focus. And its value? It comes from the fact that it is really, really hard for a machine or even another person to just copy it. And then you've got the other side of the coin, shallow work. This is all the busy work, answering emails, sitting in endless status meetings, posting on social media. These tasks make us feel occupied, but they don't really push us, they don't create much new value, and here's the key, they are super easy to replicate. This right here, this is the automation danger zone. So when you look at it side by side, it's pretty stark, isn't it? On one side, you have this engine of real value creation. On the other, you have activities that are just becoming less and less valuable. So you have to ask yourself, where am I spending most of my day? Because that answer, well, that's what's going to shape your future.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem, we've identified the superpower. The big question is, how do you actually build it? Well, Newport gives us 4 very clear rules. We've put them together into what we're calling the 2026 Focus Protocol, a game plan you can use right now.
And here they are. Number 1, work deeply. You got to make it a system. 2, embrace boredom. You have to retrain your brain for focus. 3, tame your network tools. Be ruthless. And 4, drain the shallows. Get rid of the low-value stuff. So let's really dig into what these mean.
Now, here's a really key detail, something that's easy to miss. Newport says it's not just enough to get rid of distractions. The real secret sauce is the intensity of your focus. That's what creates truly world-class results.
And to really hammer this home, Newport tells this amazing story about a young Teddy Roosevelt back at Harvard. Now, this guy had a schedule that was just packed, boxing, studying nature, writing poetry, but he was still a top student. How? He would attack his schoolwork in these short bursts, but with an absolutely incredible, single-minded intensity.
So what can we take from that? Well, it leads to this awesome practical technique you can try, the Roosevelt Dash. Just pick one of your deep tasks, give yourself a crazy short deadline, and go at it with everything you've got. Total, unwavering focus. It's basically like high-intensity interval training for your brain.
Okay, this all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But it brings us crashing into the biggest challenge we all face, our relationship with technology. And this is where Newport's advice gets really interesting, and maybe a little bit controversial. So, does this mean you have to quit all social media and become some kind of digital hermit living in a cave? It's a fair question, right? Newport himself is famous for not using social media, but is that actually realistic for most of us in this ridiculously connected world?
And the good news is, no. Luckily, that's not the case. The key here is flexibility. Newport lays out 4 different philosophies. You've got the extreme monastic approach for the reclusive genius, all the way to the rhythmic approach, which is about making deep work a simple daily habit, kind of like going to the gym. The point is, there's a style here that can work for almost anyone.
And if you're still not convinced, just look at this. This shows you why those tiny little interruptions are so incredibly destructive. You might think checking your phone for just a second is harmless, but the hit to your brain's output is absolutely massive. And the science behind this is pretty fascinating.
It's all because of this thing called attention residue. Think about it. Every time you switch away from a tough task to, say, check an email, a little piece of your focus stays stuck on that email when you try to switch back. Your concentration gets fragmented, you're never really 100% back on task, and that's exactly why an hour of interrupted work produces so much less value.
So it all comes back to this, doesn't it? In an age of brilliant machines and constant distraction, being able to do deep work, it's not just a nice little skill to have, it's a superpower. It's what separates the people creating things that can't be replaced from those who are just doing replicable tasks. So the only real question left is, how are you going to build yours?